So,
And rolling?
yep. Who are you, and where were you born? Where did you go to college? Just
Okay.
the basic overview.
All right. So my name is Sam Meacham. I was born in Boston, Massachusetts, but when I was 3 months old, my family moved to Austin, Texas. My father taught at the University of Texas for many years. And so my formative years and young years were spent here in Austin, in Central Texas area. Also with all my summers spent in Maine, up in the Northeast. So it was a very nice balance. Um, and my education is, I went to school until ninth grade here in the Austin area, and then for the rest of my high school, I went to a boarding school in Massachusetts on the East Coast. My undergraduate degree is in international studies with a focus on Asia, specifically Japan. And I did that at the University of Vermont in the mid-'80s to early '90s. And then my graduate degree is from the University of New Hampshire. And I did that. I went back to school in 2009 and got a degree in natural resources with a focus on what's called geospatial science, which is remote sensing of the environment and geographic information systems.
Okay. So, what is a general overview of what you do here at the Meadows Center?
Okay. So my role here at the Meadows Center, I'm the diving safety officer, and I'm also listed as a research scientist. So I have a variety of different things that I'm kind of working on here. One of which is the reestablishment of a long-taught program here to authorize divers to become volunteers in Spring Lake called the Dive Authorization Course. And so I've kind of retooled that course. It's been taught since the mid-'90s, I think. And we're just kind of streamlining it and making it a better course. I'm also working on a veterans initiative here. We have one of our donors that's generously offered to support a program that would benefit veterans. We would target the 2,800 veterans that are enrolled here at Texas State University and use scuba diving in therapeutic adventure, basically. And it would just kind of give back to the people that have given so much to us.
It's a really nice thing to do.
I'm also working on with the Texas State Aquarium in Corpus Christi, Texas, as they go through a very large renovation of their facility. And to my luck and surprise, they have chosen to focus on the area of Mexico where I've spent a tremendous amount of time, and the environment that I've spent a tremendous amount of time in. So it's really fun for me because I'm going to be working to help educate people about what I feel is a very important place.
Yeah. When did you fall in love with scuba diving?
When did I fall? Well, that's a great question. I guess you could call it the spark that ignited my interest in diving would go back to elementary school and fourth grade, and one of my classmates' fathers was a commercial diver in the Gulf of Mexico, and he came to our class with his diving helmet and a scale model of the oil platform where he worked and told us about what he did, and that pretty much for me was like, wow, that just sounds kind of cool and adventurous, and so that was kind of the initial spark. And then in 1984 on a family vacation, I did a discover scuba diving. So I just kind of was in Mexico with my family, and I did that first initial dive. And then the following year, 1985, I was certified as a diver. And then in 1994, I actually became a diving professional, scuba diving instructor. And that same year, I also learned how to cave dive down in Mexico.
Yeah. You do a lot of cave diving, and why do you like cave diving so much?
Well, it's a very appropriate question. Most people would be terrified at even the thought of cave diving. And so I moved to Mexico in 1994 and lived there till 2009. And my reasons for moving there were to become a diving instructor, learn how to do that, and then fulfill two of my loves, traveling and diving. And I just kind of envisioned myself working my way around the world, teaching diving, and traveling and visiting exotic, cool places. The fact is, I never left Mexico. I was there for 16 years, and what kept me there was cave diving. And so I kind of came into it not really knowing much about it, but I quickly realized that I have a very adventurous, curious side to me. I grew up reading a Belgian comic book by the name of Tintin. I don't know whether you're familiar. It made a big movie, but Tintin was one of my heroes. And so cave diving just presented me. It's really some of the last true physical human exploration left on the planet, and it's not just climbing a mountain because it's there and planting your flag and then going home. The exploration that we do in Mexico, we can physically travel through the aquifer and show people what groundwater looks like. And that's important because 20% of the world's population depends on groundwater as its source of drinking water. So to actually show people what it looks like and show people that water, while so many things change around us, what will never change is the importance of water for life on this planet. And so, and we find evidence of the ancient Maya civilization and their use of water. We find evidence of early American, some of the first people ever to come into the Americas 14,000 years ago. We find them in these caves, and they most likely were looking for water. And so that's what, for me, what I do is just an incredible jumping off point to educate people. And so I love cave diving, and it's pretty intense and cool experience.
Has anything ever gone wrong on one of your cave dives?
So yes, there's the famous saying that there's old pilots and bold pilots, but there's no old, bold pilots, right? So what we do, there's a common misconception that cave divers are a bunch of adrenaline junkies, cowboys out cheating death on every single dive, when in fact we would be a fantastic case study for risk management, applied risk management. We are very careful and very methodical. We're highly trained. We have, all of the best gear that you can possibly have to do what we do. And we have a very systematic way of doing what we do. So yes, I can give you two examples of things that have happened to me cave diving. Number one, the first one would have occurred very early in my career as a cave diver, when I was probably a little bit more cavalier than I should have been. And famously, the saying that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger definitely applies here. But I was on an exploration dive with a friend of mine, and I got out in front of the guideline. My friend had the guideline. And we came to a fork in the cave, and I swam out ahead to see which way we should go. And obviously that's breaking a fairly important rule, because you always want to have that guideline close by so you can get back out. Well, what happened is my exhaled bubbles as I was swimming ahead were dislodging sediment from the ceiling above me. And that sediment was raining down behind me. And so I had perfect, beautiful visibility ahead of me. And when I turned around to tell my buddy, okay, yeah, we're going to go this way, and I looked behind me, I couldn't see him. It was just zero visibility. Not good. So what saved my life in that situation was my training. And I'd gone through a specific cave diving course that taught me to, number one, take 3 deep breaths and convince myself that I'm going to get out of this situation. I had what's called a safety reel, which I tied off, and then I systematically started searching for my friend. And I created a base point that I could work from to get back to him. And eventually I did, but it was like 3-4 minutes, which doesn't sound like a lot of time. But when you're underwater in a cave in zero visibility, and you know that every single breath that you're going to breathe is contained in the tanks on your back, it's a stressful situation. Yeah. So I learned a lesson, and that definitely tempered me. And then the second situation I can give you is much later in my career, and after having gained a lot more experience on a fairly long-range dive with 2 friends of mine. We were diving through the cave, fairly heavily laden with equipment. It was going to be a very long penetration dive. And I'm the last one in the line. And so the last one in the line usually gets, and we're going through a tight area where there's halocline, which is the mixing of the fresh and the salt water. So that mixes up the visibility. And there was a lot of this percolation that's coming down from the ceiling. So I, as the last diver, didn't have very good visibility. And I could just barely see my friend Christoph ahead of me going ahead. And as he's going along, he inadvertently hits a fairly large rock that rolls over and goes right on top of the line and basically traps him on one side of the line in zero visibility situation, and my friend Danny and I on the other. And I can kind of see this, but all of a sudden that big rock just poof makes the visibility go to where you can't see your hand in front of your face. So in this case, again, with all the experience that we had, we knew that we could work our way out of this, and we had plenty of time. We had all sorts of gear with us, so Danny and I scooted back out, got to a place where the visibility was good, and dumped a bunch of gear and started kind of probing around that one rock to see if we could get around it, and we couldn't. Meanwhile, our friend Christoph took an exploration reel that we were planning to lay further in the cave and was able to explore his way back to where we were and find us. And we all looked at each other and said, okay, you okay, you okay, you okay? And we continued with the dive.
Very exciting story. I don't think I'd be able to, handle, that
it's just,
situation.
it's all about experience and comfort and not going from zero to hero in 20 minutes.
What's your favorite thing about diving? What just attracts you to it?
Very good question. So my favorite thing about diving, I love a lot of things about it. I love the fact that I'm never going to be the best diver, that there's always something I can learn, that there's always some way in which I can improve. So I love to learn. And I love to learn about the equipment. I love to learn about the environments in which I dive. The old saying in the diving industry, 75% of this planet's underwater, why aren't you? There's a lot to explore, and there's a lot we don't know. The famous saying that we know more about the surface of the moon than we do about the oceans of our world is absolutely true. So we live on the water planet, and it just seems like, of course, everybody should know how to scuba dive because we need to appreciate the aquatic world that we live in. So there's the gear, the environments I dive in, the idea of being weightless, the idea of being able to explore and shine my light where hardly anyone has ever seen that place before. Definitely they haven't seen with the amount of light that we carry in. So I think it's, every childhood fantasy that I had of an adventurous life has been fulfilled by what I've been able to accomplish in diving.
Not many people can say that about their jobs.
Well, yeah, I honestly love to do, I get paid to do what I love to do, which, as you so aptly said, then I've never worked a day in my life, right?
Exactly. You also have lots of these little sayings that you pass on all the time. Mm-hmm. What's your favorite one, or the one that you seem to keep
related to diving?
Oh, just in general, about life or about your attitude towards everything.
Well, I think the in this goes kind of to my life experience, but I just firmly believe that every day is a gift, and that every day that we go out and breathe fresh air and get to be on this planet and part of this world, as grim as news may be sometimes, it's still, we're so lucky to be here. When you think about the statistic improbability that any of us are here, it's, every day's a gift. And so I just, I think it's really important to, and what I feel very lucky about in my life is that I identified a passion and I've followed it as far as I possibly can, and it keeps, diving this year, I've met a prince, I've met a princess, and I've met a 3-star general, and I'm on a first-name basis with all of those people, and it's because of diving.
Yeah.
And when I started diving, I had no idea that it would take me on the
Yeah.
trajectory it has.
It's amazing what your passions can do for you.
Yeah, it is, and it's, I'd much rather go through life fulfilled, and I'm not in it to make lots of money. I'm just in it to have a fulfilling life.
I think those are great words to end on. Thank you for sitting down and talking with me.
Anytime, Nick.